What's going on YouTube? I'm back with another daily investment update video for you guys. This time I'm going to be taking a look at my daily investment into Vanguard's VGT. It's been 307 days since I started investing $10 a day into this particular index fund. And guys, this is part of my overall $100,000 portfolio builder challenge that we have been working on since January 1st of 2024. I really enjoy giving you guys these updates because we are building out this portfolio together in real time right here on my channel. Now, since the last update that I gave you guys, there has been a lot that has been going on with VGT. So back in April, VGT had a 1-for-8 split. So what does that mean? So for every share of VGT that you owned, after the split, you would now own 8 shares. And at the time, it was around $800 per share to actually purchase into VGT. So that means that each share would now be worth right around $103 at the time of the split. Now, if you take a look at things from a very high level perspective, the 1-for-8 split didn't really do much for us. Why? Because we have had the option to use brokerages like Webull, Robinhood to go in and then buy fractional shares of ETFs and index funds for quite some time now. But from a psychological perspective, being able to now go in and buy one full share at 1/8 of the price, I think that might drive some people to actually start to invest in this particular fund. Now, in the past, I've had people that have left comments that says, hey, I like VGT, or I like VOO, or I like insert index fund into that phrase, but it's just too expensive. Right, so I go back to the ability to buy fractional shares if you have that option. But if you don't, now that excuse is off the table. If you want to invest in an aggressive growth, technology-based index fund, VGT is one that you should consider. Now, before jumping in and taking a look at how my portfolio has been performing, let's take a quick look at VGT in general. So we're going to take a look at the top 15 holdings within this fund at this time. And as you can see, NVIDIA right at the top, and they actually reported earnings today. They knocked it out of the park. They increased their dividends. They announced a stock buyback program, which I think is huge. Anytime a company is doing well enough to be able to use that excess capital to repurchase shares, that you know they're doing really well as an organization. You've got Apple, Microsoft, Broadcom, Micron, AMD, the list goes on. Now, this is a very top-heavy fund that you're going to be investing in, right? So it's very boom or bust, but I like how aggressive it is, and I really like the mix of stocks that this fund currently has. Now, if we take a look at some of the biggest performers since the beginning of the year, we can start to understand why VGT has been performing so well. And the very first one that we'll take a look at is Intel. If you take a look at the yearly chart on Intel, look at that candle. Look at that yearly candle right there on the right. That green candle is just sharply moving to the upside. And that is one of the driving forces behind why we're seeing VGT perform so well. Then we'll go ahead, we'll take a look at AMD. AMD is another stock that I absolutely love. Look at the candle on AMD. It has just continued to rise, and we're at almost $475 per share. And about a year ago, AMD was hovering around $100, $120 a share. Maybe it was a little bit longer than a year ago, but not too long ago, we were down around that $100 to $120 price range. And then we'll take a look at Broadcom, ticker symbol AVGO. Look how this position has been moving. Broadcom has been doing a lot of big things as an organization, and they are just a cash cow right now. Now, you could see that these three big movers, and I didn't even talk about NVIDIA, have really been driving the value for VGT. All right, let's go ahead. Let's jump in. Let's take a look at how this investment has been performing over the last 307 days for me. So if you take a look at the screen right here, you will see I am up $976.86, and I'm up almost 32% in my investment over the last 307 days. This is why I tell you guys, I really like this investment in VGT. I also have it in my other brokerage accounts, and I also have it in my Roth 401k, 31.86%. Can't beat that. Then you take a look at the daily P&L, $63.34, and I'm up 1.59% on the day. You guys know anytime my portfolio is green, I'll take it, right? I will definitely take that. We have a total market value, $4,043.10. And we have a total cost, $3,066.24. Average price, $85.93. I still got to get used to seeing that because that price obviously reflects the after split price. So $85.93 is the average price. And then we have a total quantity, 35.68 shares. I'm still getting used to seeing that too, right? Because obviously after the split, our share count increased. So we'll be at 50 shares in VGT before we know it. And then the total position ratio, 31.37%. And then the last price that we were able to purchase shares of VGT at, $113.30. So if you look at the delta between the average price and the last price, you'll see it's a decent little spread there. Now let's go ahead. Let's take a look at just how VGT has been performing. We'll take a look at the 52-week high and the 52-week low. And then of course, we'll take a look at how it's been performing on the candlestick chart. So if we take a look here, the 52-week high, $115.62. And you can see in the top left corner here is that we closed the day at $113.83. So we're right near the 52-week high in this particular position. I previously mentioned that NVIDIA reported earnings earlier today. They knocked it out of the park. Will that be a catalyst to push this position up above their 52-week high? And then we'll take a look at the 52-week low, $73.44. Guys, this is why I like dollar cost averaging, meaning I go in at a predetermined time of the week or the month and I make my stock purchase. And sometimes we can catch some of these great funds or stocks when they're at or near their 52-week lows. And that's what I really enjoy. I really like purchasing stocks and ETFs at or near the 52-week lows, because that gives me the opportunity to invest as it pulls back and of course ride the wave right back up near that 52-week high. All right, so now let's quickly talk about the dividends received. VGT is not a dividend powerhouse play, right? We have SCHD for that. So that is not the focus of this fund. It's aggressive growth to where it's boom or bust, right? I talked about this being a top heavy fund, and I showed you the top 15 investments. I like a majority of the investments that this fund actually hold. So we know that it's going to be boom or bust, but the overall dividend that I have received over the last 307 days, $7.20, not a lot, but it's simply just been reinvested back into my position, like all of the other investments that I have across all of my accounts. So I'm up almost 32% over the last 307 days in this particular position. I'm extremely satisfied with my investment. And if I didn't have this fund in my other brokerage accounts, as well as in my Roth 401k, I'd be wishing that I bought more. All right, so now we're gonna take a look at some of the comments that you guys left on my last video. First comment here, my Roth is up 19% in the last year. Even with Liberation Day and when the Iran deal started, I put more into my positions. Yeah, I mean, the market has continued to defy all odds. I was one of the people that thought that the Iran deal, the Liberation Day from last year was really gonna tank the market for a little bit longer than it did. But each one of those scenarios, the market bounced back as quickly as it sold off. So it's defied all odds. I'm glad that you continued to see success in your Roth. And I think that's great that it's in your Roth, because we know that that grows tax-free and you'll be able to pull it out tax-free whenever you're ready to retire. So shout out to you for that. The next comment here, started dollar cost averaging back in February because of your video. My brokerage is currently up 17% since the recent rally, and my holdings are QQQ are up 10% in my Roth IRA. Look, I love reading comments like that, right? We get people off the sidelines and into the game of investing to start building out their financial future. That's one of the main goals that I wanted to achieve as part of this portfolio builder challenge that we started several years ago on this channel. Help people to understand that there is a path to take control of their financial future. All right, next comment here, I'm appreciative of your videos. I've also been dollar cost averaging. However, as of right now, I'm up 30.04% per day in SOXX. Yo, shout out to you, 30%, that's a large number. And to be completely honest with you, I'm not familiar with SOXX, so I'll have to take a look at that to see what that fund invests in and what are the percentages of each of the companies that they hold. But you found an investment that works for you, so shout out to you. All right, and then the last comment that I'll read here: great job, congrats. I'm dollar cost averaging in VOO. My youngest daughter actually has a position with VGT. I'm using the turtle pace in the race. Peace, King. Look, that is so underrated. The comment about getting your daughter started with investing in the market. I'm assuming she's under the age of 18. When I read this comment, that is 100% the way to go, right? We know that the longer that you invest in the market, the greater that your returns will be. If you're already having conversations with your daughter about investing and the importance of it, you are paving the way for financial success for her in the future. That's my 307-day update in my investment in VGT. And as I previously stated, I love giving you guys these updates on how my investments are doing. And we're just gonna continue to stack these investments on top of each other until we hit that 100K milestone. At least that's the goal for right now. Guys, I wanna hear from you guys. Many of you have started investing with me at some point since January of 2024. And a lot of you guys have been investing even prior to that. If you have not started investing in VGT, would the 1-for-8 split sway your decision on investing in this position in the future? Why or why not? To me, it's all good either way. As long as you're off the sidelines and in the game, that's all that matters to me.